Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Hello and welcome to Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you for joining us as Chris Reinhardt is going to be here momentarily talking all things Sasquatch and his amazing encounters. I cannot wait to get an update from him. Now, in hour 3, we're not having a cryptid report tonight. I was so impressed with the questions that you were asked last night that we're going to continue with audience questions in hour number 3. And go from there. But first, let's say hello to everybody in the chat room tonight. We got Robert Lamoth in the gold medal position, Kitty Caddywag with the silver, Fast Hemi with a bronze medal tonight. Hi, Michael Morris, Little Timmy James, Lisa C., and Betty Oliver. Thank you for coming on in. Scott B., how you doing? Area 51, Cosmic Joe, Eternity Eternal, and Cosmic Joe, thank you for kicking off the super chat tonight. Very much appreciate the love and support. Thank you for everything that you do. Mama Catherine, mwah, I love you, my dear. I hope you're having a wonderful, wonderful night. Hope you had a great day as well. Mel WD40 is here, lubing us up for tonight's show, because you always want to go into a show nice and smooth. You don't want any rigidness, especially if you're talking Sasquatch. Race Fan in the no medal position tonight, but that's okay. Race Fan will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio, if you don't mind, to the left of the studio. Mama Catherine, thank you for that awesome super chat. Very much appreciate your love, my dear, and thank you for the warm wake-up call each and every morning. Your text messages just start my day off with a smile each and every day. I love you. All right, continuing on. Paramarv, how you doing? Brown Dwarf, good to see you. As we continue on with our roll call, there's Noble Patrick, feeling noble as ever. Scrolling on down, we have S. Vermet. And who's next on our list? Tim Mothman and his goatee, 2 separate entities. Here we go. Next, we have Lisa Smith. Number 22 in your program, starting at center ice tonight from Stockholm, Sweden. Lars Jansson. There he is. Les Paul Holland, strumming away on his guitars tonight. Good to see you, my man. And Erico Dion Viglione is here. Erico will be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio, if you don't mind, to the right of the studio. Hi, W. David Page. Necessary Dialogue. How you doing? Millennium, my man, and Operation Shutdown. Good to see you both. Our favorite hippie, Deidre, still wearing her Birkenstocks, even with wool socks. What's happening? JSCO, how you doing? And who's next on our list here? We will say hello next to Lee the Bee and Pam Harris. Good to see you both. Hi, Kimberly Burgess. Welcome to SOR Chat. Nina Williams, Jennifer Beveridge. Nice to see you both. And Matthew Goodka. How you doing? Al Gray over on Twitch. 285 push-ups in 90 seconds. He is jacked up for tonight. He loves his Bigfoot talk. Broken Shadow Feather. Nice to see you. So we continue on with roll call here. Let us next say hello to J Truth Seeker. Beelzebrad has a devil put aside for me, for me, for me. How you doing, buddy? Good to see you. And Jamie Johnson, welcome. Pony Pong, nice to see you. Hi, Dead Fish. Good to have you here. And who is next on our list? Kurt M. Good to have you here. Richard Wilson, how you doing? Let's get the radio side going. Hello and welcome to the radio and podcast side of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We appreciate you tuning us in. Chris Reinhardt's going to be here momentarily to talk some Sasquatch with us. Oh, it's going to be great. You're going to love this. We are in roll call right now on our YouTube side as we say hello to Richard Wilson. And we continue on with Aunt Joanne. Nice to see you. Who is next here? Scrolling on down. Gory Tiger, thanks for joining us. And John Lamb, thank you for coming on in. Almost missed you there, John. Almost missed you. Want to remind everybody, if you're on the YouTube side, the super chat is open. It's a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. So thank you very, very much. And of course, you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. So make sure you check it on out. Hi, Michael Fontaine. Everybody, throw those horns up. Let's rock. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair at SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out, Bumblefoot, read the news wire. Check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. We got a great show for you tonight. Thank you for tuning us in as we're going to get into some serious Bigfoot talk. Chris Reinhardt is going to be here momentarily. Then in hour number 3, Swamp Dweller will kick things off. Jackie Harmon taking the night off from the Crypted Report. She's feeling ill lately. So we're going to hopefully have her back on Friday night, maybe next week. We're not sure. We're hoping for Friday. So what we're going to do in hour number 3, I had so much fun with our audience questions on last night's show. We're going to take more of them tonight. Yeah, we are. Why? Because I control the board. I control what happens. Yes, I'm on a power trip right now. But it was a lot of fun. And I think the audience had fun with it too. Remember, if you're listening in Radio Land and you ever want to get your questions in, come join us on the YouTube channel or on X or on Twitch. Chris Reinhardt is one of my favorite Bigfoot researchers. And let me tell you why. This is a guy who was quite a skeptic just a number of years ago regarding this subject. He had heard about it, didn't really believe it. And then the ultimate happened. Out of nowhere, he started having his own encounters and experiences with the creature they call Bigfoot. Now, not only is he a firm believer, but he's seen a shift in what he believes it may be. And the creatures still keep coming around. Chris Reinhardt, thank you for joining us again on Spaced Out Radio. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing very well, and thank you for having me once again. It's been a little bit, and it's always a pleasure to be on Spaced Out Radio.
It's always a pleasure to have you here, my friend. So what have you been up to since the last time we saw you?
I've been pretty busy. I've been to Snellgrove twice. I've been back into the Florida swamp for some more craziness. I've been doing the same thing around my areas here up in Connecticut, and I went out to hang out with the Squatch Father himself, Mr. Alfred Santoriga, for a night of craziness in New York, and things have just progressed and progressed since the last time we had talked. I mean, even more so towards the paranormal side of everything.
You are somebody, and I want you to tell your story because all of our listeners, they're always different each and every night. You were somebody who was a complete skeptic, didn't believe in this whatsoever. You thought, well, people might be seeing some stuff. People may not. You really didn't until you had your own encounters. And that's what kind of led you to change your mind. Take us back from day one when you were a skeptic to where you are today on how you as a person have changed.
So when I first entered this, it was because of YouTube. We got rid of cable and we started streaming, and we had YouTube. And is that my microphone making that little static noise? Do you hear that?
Can't hear it on this end, man.
Okay, all right. So it's just mine. That's good. So I said, all right. So I was always interested in the subject. I mean, I always thought there was a Bigfoot, but I thought there was like one Bigfoot, like everybody else in the Pacific Northwest. I guess it's like a broken record, everybody's stories when they first start out. And then I noticed on YouTube that everybody was out looking for these structures. And I'm like, you know what? I love going in the woods. I love hiking. Let's see what is in Connecticut. Let's go out. I'll take a look around. And so I started finding these structures, and, I started developing things, and I started listening to other people. And I came up with my own ideas and my own plans, and implementing other people's plans. And then before you know it, I was starting to have experiences with the Sasquatch, like we get in the tree knocks and started trading with them, and we traded for 6 years. I'll give you the quick lowdown. And things from there just kept on progressing and progressing. It's like the more that you're around them, the more that you're accepted by them, and the more that they're going to interact with you. That's just what I've come to find. So when I first started, I thought I was going to be the man that's going to get these guys on camera. How hard can it be, to get a 8-foot, 600-pound supposed ape on camera, out in the field. So I was going to go out and do it. And I have learned now 9 years later, I still don't have that picture, but I have learned a lot about the mystery. I've gone from flesh and blood to really believing now that they come and go in dimensions and to that effect, and almost alien-esque parts. I think they all use the same doorways and the same entrances, because if they were here all the time, I'm pretty sure that we would have more evidence, visual evidence and physical evidence than we do right now. So I've gone from flesh and blood guy at the beginning, 9 years later, to believing that they're probably pretty close to being in their own alien species. That's where I'm at.
That is quite a shift in attitude on what this is, what it's about. When you look back, when you thought it was flesh and blood, I was the same way, where I believed, Chris, that, in hearing the stories, because I grew up just an hour west of Harrison Hot Springs, which is a famous place for Sasquatch sightings. And I always thought, well, here's this creature running around, that there can't be very many of them. And then I started learning the spiritual aspect from a couple of First Nations people that I had bought. And I really started understanding that there may be a little bit more to this creature than what we think about. And nothing for me was put more to the test than one night we were over at a friend's house, and we had a Sasquatch encounter there. And we thought we were being followed. And we could hear big splashing coming from the pond that they had on their property in the back 10 acres. And as we moved up near the front of the property, near the house, I turned and looked, and I saw this pixelation standing beside a tree. and it looked like, when you pixelate someone's face to keep on the news, they always pixelate, say, a eyewitness's face or somebody they want to protect. And that's what I saw. And it was from the ground up. And only 2 of the 4 of us had actually seen the pixelation. Well, by the time we got to the front of the house, whatever that pixelation was roared at us. And I've never been so scared in my life than feeling that roar rip right through us. And knowing that pixelation was there combined with the roar, that convinced me that there is something special, or could be something special, with this creature. Yet people and researchers like yourself and myself, we're in the minority on that attitude, my friend.
Well, what changed it for me is we started bringing electronics out into the field like the ghost hunters did. I mean, I'm sure there's people that have been doing it for a long time, but our little group hasn't been doing it. And we started bringing out RF meters, and we were getting radio frequency hits while we were having stones thrown at us. That we had a satellite communications guy reach out to us, and he says, I did research on your meters, and I saw your video, and I saw what you guys were catching. He says there's no way that you should be getting anything close to those readings out in the middle of the forest. He says if you were in a Faraday box, it would cook you, literally. He says those meters are so broadband, and you were topping out while having these stones thrown at you. He says there's no way possible that there's anything in the forest that could do that. So that's what changed it for me once we started entering that aspect. While we're having the physical evidence go on, now we're getting radio frequency levels. We're getting radiation levels. Now I bring a Geiger counter out with us now. I have a theory that that alba vertex that they're finding, that the white slime on the windows and stuff, I have a feeling that'll be radioactive if we ever come across it to measure it. So that's where I'm putting the pieces together, where they're coming. I have my own theories what the white stuff is, and I'm sure everybody else has them, but I think it's like a protective coating to come back and forth to wherever they come from. It's just too many stories. You hear the same stories from a lot of people, and you have to put one and one together and know that this just isn't happening by chance. People are having the same experiences, and you just got to start putting the pieces together. The meters are a huge part of our research now. We're measuring magnetic readings, everything we can while we're out there, while we're getting signal. And now we're getting EVPs like crazy while out Bigfooting. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Every time I go to my area up at Rock Throw Alley, we're getting EVPs, intelligent EVPs. They're answering us. They're mimicking us. They're copying our whistles. Is it the Bigfoot? I can't tell you that because I can't see what's doing it. But we're having, again, the physical, the stones thrown and the sticks snapped. And you can see those videos on my channel. I have them for all you guys to see. So putting all those pieces together and not being able to see them when they're like probably 20 feet in front of you, you got to think of how are they doing this? Barb Shoop caught you probably all know who Barb is, but she caught that amazing footage of the Terminator there, that little Bigfoot, of it all pixelating and running away from her. And she saw a physical being. She saw a black fur when that thing took off, but the camera caught the Terminator, or not the Terminator, the Predator effect, the glass like you experienced. She caught that on camera. It's amazing. And she saw a little juvenile Sasquatch run away from her, but the camera picked up something totally different. So what's going on there? I mean, there's so many questions that nobody is asking about the other side, because it's the other side. It's the woo. The woo is Ric Flair. That's what woo is. To me, we can measure this stuff. It can be analyzed, and you got to pay attention, in my opinion, to the ghost hunters and the equipment that they're using, because it's turning out to be all one and the same. I've had full apparitions at my house. I've had to have my apartment now blessed, 3 times. due to attachments after coming back in the woods with having Sasquatch activity. I'm having activity around the house again here. Me and my wife were growled at 2 weeks ago, growled at like it was like, and she looks at me, she got a handful of groceries, and she's like, what was that? And I'm like, I don't know what that was. I said, it was no bear, I can tell you that. And then I'm out here last week with my boss, and we're at the top of the hill, and he's telling me some work that he wants to done. And all of a sudden this stone comes from the top of the mountain, and he turns around and looks at me. He goes, what was that? I said, well, in my opinion, that was a stone. He goes, no, it can't be a stone. There's nothing in this stone. I'm like, because he knows what I do. He's very supportive, but he didn't think he would ever experience it. But then an acorn drops. I tell him, I go, well, there's an acorn. That's what an acorn sounds like. I'm pretty sure the other one was a stone. So he just shrugs it all off. 2 minutes later, a softball-sized stone is thrown, and it breaks limbs when it's coming through the foliage and lands down on the ground and hits and bounces and hits another rock and makes huge noise. He turns around pie-eyed and he goes, that was a rock. I'm like, that was a big rock. Do these guys follow you home? That's another aspect. I think they follow you home. I think they're curious, because I haven't been to my area all summer due to all the traveling, and I've had some back problems this year, but like I said, I went to Snell Grove in Florida and expeditions there. But all this stuff is all like, I know I jump around a little bit, but it's all connected into this one bin, and you learn how to weave it all together, and you ask people that have been around this and think this way for a long time, and it starts making sense that these guys have something very, very special to them. If it's, I don't know how to explain it. I just know it's real. I had a little rake thing run across my chest this year. It was 10 inches tall. I'm telling you, it is. Look at my hair standing straight up just talking about it. It was 10 inches tall. It started on my left shoulder, ran across my chest, and ran across the bed, jumped off the bottom of the bed and onto the floor. And I screamed like a schoolgirl. My wife came running up the stairs, flings the door open, and she's like, what is going on? Are you dying? She goes, what's going on? She thought I was dying. I'm like, please tell me the cat was just in the room. She goes, no, the cat was downstairs with me. I said, you're never going to believe what I just saw going across my room. Things come around you the more that you're around these things. I had a psychic reach out to me. She needed to talk to me. She contacted a friend, said, I need to talk to this guy. I need to tell him and teach him something about his aura or the bright white light and the city. I don't know too much about all that stuff, but all this stuff is starting to happen. Apparitions in the house, the little rake thing across my chest, things missing in the house, like tricksters, they take things and they hide things and you can't find them. And now this is all because of the Bigfoot. I started looking for Bigfoot. How is it all connected? That's what we're out to figure out now. That's what I'm sorry if I jumped around everybody, but I
think it's great. I want to ask you though, do you think it's because of the Bigfoot, or do you think it's because you connected to the phenomenon?
I think it's the phenomenon. I think it's all, like you said, it's all connected. I believe truly in my heart that it's all connected in some way. I mean, I'm a big believer in the Anunnaki, the Nephilim. I believe that all happened. I don't know how it's pertinent in today's day, but I think the records just show too much not to be true in my book. The Anunnaki were like crazy. If you read up on them, I mean, in their books, they talked about the Great Flood, and they talked about, Adam and Eve and their own stories. And this was all before, the Bible. And so I guess it's all what you want to believe, and just out looking for answers.
Why do this? Why put yourself through all of this?
I'm addicted is what the problem is. I am 100% vested into this. I have, like I said, I've traveled all over the place. I'm going. I was like Snell Grove is an unbelievable place. If nobody's ever been there, it is gorgeous. You're looking for light. You're looking for street lights. You're looking for sound, and you will never find it. It is the strangest place I've ever been like that before, because you're in the middle of nowhere. And I experienced something up there called the thunder knock. It was a knock that sounded like a Volkswagen. Their Beetle was driving through the woods and hit a tree going 90 miles per hour. And then the guy that was next to me, we felt it vibrate in our chest like waves on the ocean. It hit us 3 times. Boom, 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 like waves, like you were in the ocean hitting you. We felt the recoil. It was the craziest thing I've ever felt. Everywhere we go or everywhere I visit, something goes on. EVPs were getting, I just went there in August again, and we got an EVP that the guy goes, I'll talk with you. Just out of all 5 of us are sitting there, and all of a sudden, I'll talk with you. It was crazy. Lights all over the place this time. It was all paranormal up there this last time. But just I'm addicted. I'll go anywhere if the people will have me. I will go to their place, and I will want to experience it. I'm not out trying to steal. I've been heard at all that I'm out trying to steal people's spots to make money off of Bigfoot. I'm going to rip off their spot and I'm going to take it over and I'm going to make money. No, I've spent more money than I'll ever make on Bigfooting. I'm trying to start a little program called Real American Monsters right now because I'm getting invited to these places, and I want to show people real evidence because it's out there. You can, if you go and visit these spots where they are living on their people's property, you're going to get real evidence. And there's a lot of people out there that are experiencing it, and I'm blessed to have them as friends. So I'm going to start, trying to get that out, showing real evidence, not just drone footage and hiking through the forest. I mean, showing the real deals as long as I can before, or if they shut you down. So that's how far I'm in. Awareness for me is the most important thing, that people need to be aware that these are out there. It's really going on out there.
We have 2 minutes before we have to go to our first break at the bottom of the hour. Chris Reinhardt is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Chris, you've seen, you've interacted, you've had things thrown at you. You've had little creatures and paranormal adventures throughout your house and all around you. When you talk to people about this, how do you judge their reaction? Because most people are going to look at you and say, this guy's a wingnut. There's no way all of this is happening to one dude.
Right. No, there's a lot of people that doubt it. But I'll tell you this, Dave, I have a witness to almost all my experiences. Almost 100% of them, somebody's been there with me. And that's a great thing to have. My group has been with me on numerous occasions. I even had a guy come down from Massachusetts that got to witness the top of Rock Throw Alley with the RF meter and the rock throws, and it blew his mind. So I've been lucky enough for that, but I'm not afraid to tell people at first I tell them, I said, listen, I'm a grandfather. I love my grandbabies. I go to work full time every single day. I don't drink. I don't smoke. I don't do drugs. I'm straight as an arrow. And then I tell them the truth. I tell them what I'm experiencing, and whether they want to believe me or not, they can. But I had crazy experiences. I had something calling for help at my area. Help. And then an hour and a half later, we got the same help again. And I didn't put the pieces together. My friend called me up. He goes, do you know what was crazy about that? He says, whatever that was saying help, it followed you into the forest an hour and a half in. And then the next day I drove by there and there was a woman on that trail going in with her 3 little kids. Now, what if she experienced that same help? What would have happened to her? Well, if she would have been drawn in? I mean, awareness needs to happen because you don't know. There's so much out there.
Chris, I'm going to get you to hold on right there. We'll be back with the second half hour. Chris Reinhardt and his spookiest Sasquatch encounters so far this year. All right, we're clear, buddy.
All right.
That was quick.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I get too excited and I start jumping.
Oh man, don't worry about that. People are here to hear you, not me.
Yeah, but I jump from thing to thing. I wish I could stay like focused, I guess. I don't know. I've experienced so much. It's crazy. In this last year, even since the last time we've talked, I went back to Florida. We had crazy stuff going on, to the T. We were having things happen with our meters, and they were physical things were happening and stuff like that. It's just wait till that video comes out. I mean, I got like 5 episodes of this new Real American Monsters that's supposed to come out here soon, and it's gonna be a eye opener for a lot of people. Do you know who the Snells are from Texas? Do you know Mike Snells?
No.
He's the one that got the 2 Sasquatch fighting with Big Paul, tall Paul that came out and broke him up. A little farmhouse in Texas.
No.
I have the 2 original investigators are doing an episode of Real American Monsters with me. They've never been in public. They have books and pictures and videos and recordings like unreal, and nobody's ever seen them. And we're gonna do it. Wait till this comes out. It's gonna blow people's minds because they got Bigfoot on camera, like great shots of them. But the Bigfoot called themselves the Ancient Ones. There was a medicine woman there. It was a female, and she could write like not like broken English, like write like 3rd grade English, but she could write enough to tell them what was going on. And they tested the owners of the cabin while they were there to so they wouldn't be weren't hoaxing anything, so they would test them. They never caught them hoaxing ever. So they said whatever went on there was 100% real. Mike Snells was his name, and Sandy Snells. Sandy just passed away. It was sad because she was all excited that we were going to do this, but she got lung cancer and ended up passing away. But this is going to be good stuff.
That's too bad.
Yep. Yeah, I'd like to come up to you guys, and do a Real American Monster episode. We need to show people the real stuff.
For sure, man. I would love to have you up here. I'd love.
Yeah, I seen you out in the woods up there. I see the pictures. I follow everybody. I watch.
We were just up there this past weekend, and it was just starting to get something happen. And within like 15 minutes of that, this giant windstorm just came in. And, like you can be in the forest with rain, you could be in the forest in sun or snow or whatever, but wind is where it gets dangerous.
Oh, yeah. The limbs of the trees, they fall right on top of you. You're done.
Oh, yeah, man. Yeah. We had a windstorm in not my Sasquatch area, but one of my hunting areas about 2 weeks ago. This windstorm was so strong, it was uprooting 100-foot trees.
Wow.
Like that's almost tornado-like or hurricane-like.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah. And we're not talking 1 or 2 trees. We're talking 60, 70 trees.
How far up are you in Canada? How far up?
I'm about 5 hours north of the border of Washington State.
All right. So when we went to Snell Grove, we had to drive 10 hours from Minneapolis.
You fly to Vancouver, I'm half of that.
Okay. Yeah, that must be beautiful up there. It's absolutely beautiful up there.
It really
And
is.
oh my God, Snowgrove Lake is like on a whole nother world.
I'm trying to figure out what we're trying right now is there's a couple of ranches around here that are having cattle mutilations. I'm trying to find out more on that.
Well, I think we're gonna in the next couple of years with CERN being kicked back up again and all that going on. I think things are gonna start happening a little bit more, and I think the Anunnaki are already back here. I really do.
Could be. Chris, hold on right there. I want to say a big thank you to Cosmic Joe, Mama Catherine, Simon, and Deidre for the great super chats. Thank you for the love. Here we go with the second half hour. Here we go, the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you very much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Reminder to all of you that if you miss portions of this show or others, you can check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/spaced out radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Discovering Sasquatch, Chris Reinhardt is our guest tonight on the show. We love it when he's here because he's always got very interesting things to talk about when it comes to what Bigfoot really is or what it's capable of. And Chris, you've had some great experiences this year so far.
Yeah, it just keeps on getting, I guess to most it'd be strange, but it's more eye-opening to me every year. It just proves that we're on the right path. We're not veering from the path. We're not taking the criticism. We're not, this cannot be, this can't get. Well, you know what? Nobody knows what it is. The bottom line, nobody knows what this phenomenon is. Everybody has their own opinion, and I think that's and if people could learn to get along and work together a little bit, you might even get a little couple little answers here and there. You might not figure out the whole mystery totally, but instead of all the fighting and bickering, it would be nice to be able to just sit down and talk about things and compare notes. And I'm not out to capture one. I'm not out to harm anything. I'm just looking for answers to questions that I have personally, and to promote awareness so people know that this is really going on.
Why do you think there is such an attitude on what Sasquatch is?
Because I think there's no answer, because I think everybody wants to be the big dog. I mean, not everybody. I mean, of course, I'm just speaking generically. This is just my opinion. I think the people that get the most upset are the ones that want to be the big dog. They want to break the canon. They want to be the ones to get the big picture. They want that photo. They want to be right. And they can't take wrong, and they can't take maybe somebody else might be right. And that's not the way it should be. You should always listen to everybody else. I always listened to everybody else when I thought they were flesh and blood. I never knocked anybody. You should always listen. I'm friends with a lot of people, and I don't care what their thoughts on it. As long as they're cordial to me, then I'm down. I'm good with being friends with them. I have MK Davis. I know he's very controversial, and I'm very good friends with him. I'm good friends with Doug Hychek. So there's two different people right there that, I'm friends with, and I listen to both of them, and I respect both of them, and that's the way it should be. You should just, listen to what they got to offer, and try and slip it into what you're doing and see what works and what doesn't work for you.
Remember the days when you were allowed to have an opinion?
Right. This whole, I know we don't want to talk politics, but everything down here in the States right now with this election coming up is just absolutely bonkers.
Oh,
It's a vote. It's a vote. Yeah, everybody's entitled to your vote. Go out and vote. And that's the end of the story. Don't lose your mind over it. It's a vote. It is what it is. But that's the same way you see the Bigfoot world, people always bickering at each other about what it is.
Here's the way I look at it with the Sasquatch subject. I was at a Bigfoot conference back in September here in British Columbia, and I was one of the speakers. I spoke on day 2. And day 1 was what interested me in this, and what kind of I saw the irony in this, Chris, and maybe you will as well. We were on First Nations land on a college campus, which was built on First Nations land. There was First Nations everywhere. In people watching, people listening, people who were selling their goods. This one gentleman, he made the most beautiful sounding drums. I wish I could have afforded one because they were gorgeous. And I got to chat with him. And who do they have on? 3 researchers on day 1, including Dr. Jeff Meldrum. And he was the least of the 3 that was very anti-woo on this subject. And all they did that first day was insult the woo, insult the stories. I'm sitting here thinking, you are surrounded and on land of the people who have these encounters of Sasquatch disappearing, of Sasquatch communicating with them, of all this woo stuff. And here you are insulting their belief. I'm like, what are you guys doing? So I come on day 2, and I never prepare my presentations. I don't know what I'm going to say until I get up there. I just put up a bunch of slides and then just kind of bounce off the slides, much like I do this show. Nothing is ever scripted. And I get up there and I start saying, don't listen to the experts. We don't know what this is. And too many times we have people using opinion as science. I said, your opinion, if you believe it's flesh and blood, is valid. If you believe in the woo, it's valid, because we don't know what this is, just like you just said. And everybody in that conference came up to me and said, great speech, including Dr. Meldrum. And the one guy who is I'm better than you because I'm a scientist and I don't believe in the woo, he's the only guy who would not come up to me. And I just went, okay, there's your personality. There you are. This is why you are not taken seriously.
Right. Well, I think us, the way we're using the meters now and getting those readings and looking into that, I think that's more scientific than a footprint, to tell you the honest to God truth. I mean, I found plenty of footprints. I know they make them, but nobody's explained why they disappear yet. I'm very intrigued to know how that happens. I found a trackway here in Connecticut of four footprints. There were only 4 of them. They had a 5-foot gate. There was a beautiful little trackway, and it just disappeared. There was nothing. It went to a little ledge and it was gone. There was nothing there anymore. I would love to know what's going on with that. Are they hopping up into the trees? Are they just, do they have the ability to disappear on the whim? What do they do? I mean, I would love to find that out. And, it just, and them not focusing on that end of it, I think hurts them more in the long run, because they're stuck in that they're stuck in the footprints and the wood knocking, and they're stuck in trying to get hair samples. And we have hair samples, we have footprints, we have foot castings, we have all that stuff, and still it hasn't proved anything to anybody. They still don't believe that they exist. So throw a little bit of the other, and the understanding that, in the First Nations people, yes, they know what's going on. They've been around them forever, but they didn't know how to describe them, way back when, like you see them on the pictographs and on the walls and they have all these creatures all over the place, and they have portal symbols and all over the rocks. And back then they didn't know how to describe that stuff, and they just thought it was, their gods and this and that. But is that what's really going on? It would be very cool if someone could get one of those portals opening up right on camera, you know what I mean? Just right in front of, and something stepping out. And I know there's people that have claimed to see it and that's awesome. But the stuff is real, and it's reported, and it's been reported for thousands of years. So I think that's a little bit more important than trying to get a hair sample.
Give us a close encounter that you have had this year.
The closest one this year. All right. So we were in the Florida swamp. Now, remember, I was on a year ago, and I don't know if I'm sure. I know Glenn Brown Dwarf, he was on last when I was here, and I don't know. I think a couple other people were on when I was on here the last time. I was talking about tuning forks, and I came up with a frequency. Frequency is huge. I'm telling you, frequency is huge with these guys. We came up with a frequency of stuff that was going on around my house, and I talked to MK Davis about it, and I talked to other people about it, and I came up with this thing that could be attracting them to us. So I brought that with us to Florida, and it was hot. It was July. I think it was July. We went June or July, and it was hot, man. It was hot. And the last night we were there, I brought the tuning fork in, and I ran it at my buddy's place. It was his habituation area, Chris Connor from the Trail to Bigfoot. And I put it down on he has it's called the fridge. It's his hot spot. And I put the tuning fork after I ran it on that fridge, and it was just a little tiny tuning fork, just a little thing, but it shook the ground. You could feel the vibration on the fridge in the ground. So I pack it up, I put it away, and we start going down towards the area where he has these interactions, and we come around the corner. He's like, "You still playing with that thing?" I'm like, what thing? He goes, "That tuning fork." I'm like, "No." I said, "It's in my pack." He goes, "Listen." It was resonating back at us. The tone, the same exact tone as that tuning fork was giving. We were getting it back from something in the swamp. We walked about 20 more feet. We're sitting there, and then probably 20 feet in front of us, all of a sudden we hear, "Whoa," and then something approaches us. Whoa, whoops, I just knocked my hair is standing straight up again. All three of us hear it, and we look at each other. We're like, "Oh my God, did you hear that?" And it's coming at us, and you could tell. I don't know how you could tell, but we could tell how big it was when it approached. How big it was. And all three of us, we had to be out of there by sunset anyways, because it was a state park and we weren't allowed in there. So all three of us hightailed it, but we were escorted out. We were followed out, but that was probably the closest this year, 20 feet. But did we see it? Nope, didn't see it. We heard it, and you heard it breaking the brush, and how we could tell how big he was. He was probably about 7.5, 8 foot tall, in my opinion. But he let out that groan. But that tuning fork thing is a thing, because it worked here in Connecticut too, when we had stones thrown at us when I used it here too. And we had EVPs. They were mimicking us, going, "They're here, they're here." I have that on recording somewhere. I might have it on my soundboard, but yeah, you can see that on my channel. So that tuning fork is a thing. Frequency is a thing with these guys. I'm 100% invested in that, for sure.
The fact that you have been able to develop, I'm going to call it a relationship in certain areas with these creatures. What do you think the rock throwing is? Is it a deterrent? Is it to grab your attention?
I think it's a way of them. I think they use it in multiple ways. I think it all depends on the situation. I think they use it to move. I think they'll throw a stone in one area so they can move a different direction. without you knowing it. You're focused on where they're going, where the rock went. You're not focused on where they're going. I think they do it to let you know how close they are and what they could do if they wanted to, because I've been hit. I got hit this year for the first time in my leg in Florida swamp by a stone. First time. My buddy Bud Honline was right next to me. He seen the stone come in and hit me in the leg and everything. This was in the Florida swamp again. And I just think they just do it like for different circumstances. I don't think they do it to hurt you unless you want to hurt, you're going to hurt them. And then I think you better run, because if they they got such great aim, they're going to get you.
I tell you, some of the Major League Baseball teams or football teams need to hire some of them to play quarterback or pitcher. That's for sure. I agree with you on that. I think that they could be accurate. And if they wanted to hit you, they would. And I've only ever had one stone thrown at me in one of our areas. One. And we had our back to it. We could feel it, because you can feel, as weird as this may sound, and I'm sure you'll agree, you can feel when they're around.
Oh, yeah. I know when they're around. I can tell now. I can guarantee I can tell you when they're around.
Tell the people what you feel.
I get a feeling in like mid chest. It's almost like I don't know how to describe it. It's not a painful feeling. It's not a relaxed feeling. It's more of like a relaxed anxiety almost. It's almost like a pressure with a little nerve in it. And it's just, and it's them, and then the forest goes quiet, and then stuff starts going on, and you can tell when they're coming. Are they hitting you with stuff? Is it that if everybody says it's infrasound? I don't believe it's infrasound that they're hitting you with. I think it's that radio frequency. I think they're hitting you with tones. I think they're hitting you with something that's going to change that vibration in your chest to what they want. We've all heard them saying, you've heard the recordings of them saying, it's very vibrato and very, very guttural, and it's more of a tone than it is of if that makes any sense, than the sound. I know a lady that they were down in Alabama, and she's a opera singer, and she went to the edge of the woods and belted out some opera, and she got it returned to her, and they recorded it all, and it was incredible.
Wow.
So I think they project that feeling to you. I don't think it's something I feel or you would feel. I think they're throwing it at you some way, somehow. That's what I think. That's how you know they're around. And I think the others know. I think they mark you. I think they do something to you that if I go to Florida, the ones that are there are going to know that you're all right. And the ones in Canada are going to know you're all right. You know what I mean? I think there's something they do, but I don't know for sure, but that's just my opinion.
Have you ever had mimicking happen to you?
Oh yeah. I got it. Like I just told you about that recording. I don't know if it was them, but we recorded the high there, and they've done my whistle. I do a certain whistle to let them know I'm coming. And I always do pattern hikes. Never surprise them. If you guys if you have an area, I'll tell you a little pointer. If you have an area and you know they're there, pattern hikes, do the same thing over and over. They are creatures of habit. You know that, and I know that. They do the same thing every time. They don't want to be surprised. They want to be able to get ahead of you, or they want to stay behind you.
And it's funny. I just mentioned this to our audience the other night. You don't need a ghillie suit. You don't need to be in all camouflage, paint your face, cover up your odor. Your odor is your safety net in the forest. Why is it your safety net? Because never mind Sasquatch, if any other predatory animal smells you, they are going to get the hell out of that area. Okay. And, you see these guys going on hikes 15, 18 miles into the forest because that's where they hide. No, they're right on the major thoroughfares where every other animal is moving. And whether it's flesh and blood or not, they still have to eat.
Yep. We know that for a fact. We know they eat. We know they defecate. They leave prints. They leave impressions on the ground. They break branches. They do all that. If you pay attention, this is what I found. Pay attention to what they do. Do the pattern hikes. And then let them get to know you and just keep on doing it. Do it. Never change. I guarantee you that you'll start having Sasquatch activity. If they're there in that area, they have to be there. If they're not, it's not going to work. So you have to do your due diligence. You have to go and look for the structures. Structures are important, but not everything to structure. And that's another thing that, not every broken branch and fallen tree from, is a structure. You have to look for manipulation. You have to look for that. And, I'll bet you $100 that you'll have interaction with something for sure.
Oh, I agree with you. And, like I was saying, you need a few things that you need to watch out for. You need to find a water source. You need to find what other footprints are in that area. Don't even worry about the Sasquatch prints. Find out what kind of game prints are in that area. Is there deer? Is there rabbits? Is there grouse or pheasants or wild turkeys? Whatever it is that could be a food source for them.
Yep.
You have
Aquifers.
Aquifers, exactly, for fish. Okay. In our areas, there are no fish. It's everything else but fish, but we do the exact same thing like you, Chris. We park in the exact same spot, the exact same places. Our fire is always in the same spot. Everything we do is the same. We don't go wandering off on trails. We don't go wandering individually into the forest. Now, they are a little bit timid on the flashlights. I will say that. But the rest of the time, we do everything the same. We announce to them out loud, we are armed, but we will not raise a rifle or a gun to you. Those are for the apex predators that may want to feed on us and look at us as food. We don't want to deal with them. But if we see you, all weapons are down. We explain that. You do tobacco offerings. We just do everything the same. Because like you said, we've also learned that the creatures up here are extremely curious. What do you think drives that curiosity?
I just think it's different from where they're from. I just think we're different from them. Earth is different from them. I mean, I don't know if maybe they live somewhere else. I don't know that for a fact. I think if they're out in the forest and they're here to do whatever they're here to do, because they're come here for a purpose, they're just not here to be here. Either they're coming for food or they're mating, or I don't know. I couldn't tell you, but I can tell you when we were gifting for 6 years, we figured out their patterns. We knew when they were there. We knew when they weren't coming. We knew when they weren't coming, like when Thanksgiving rolled around, we knew they weren't going to be back into the spring. We knew that the big one would only come around once a month in the winter time because we would find his tracks. We gathered all that information. So again, they're creatures of habit, but I think to interact with us is, I don't know, maybe it's a little side project for them they're I don't know. Maybe they're trying to figure us out. Maybe they don't know everything about us.
That's a hard one to figure out.
Yeah, that's a tough question. I don't know. I'm having trouble with that one, but That's what they're doing. Maybe we're just entertainment to them. Maybe they just, they want to interact with us while they're here and keep them, they're just walking in the forest all day, and then all of a sudden a couple of humans that, they trust and they know are there will want to mess around with them, or, play with them, or, give them a feather or give them a rock. Or
Chris Reinhardt, we got him for another hour on Spaced Out Radio. We're going to continue the Sasquatch stories when we return. This is Spaced Out Radio with host Dave Scott. All right, buddy. Appreciate that. I'm going to put you in the green room, and I'll be right back here in a few, okay?
all right.
All right. I'll be right back, everybody. All right, I am back. We got about a minute to go here. Hi, Astral Fugitive. How you doing? Anybody else pop in here? No, I think we're caught up. Let's bring Chris back in. How you doing, buddy?
Doing good. I'm doing good.
Right on. Big thank you to Cosmic Joe, Mama Catherine, Simon, Deidre, and Richard for the super chats tonight. Greatly appreciate the love and support. And don't forget, you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag, so make sure you check it on out. And go get something. You'll look good in it, I promise. Man, flying on by already.
Yeah. I'm hitting the Mountain Dew hard right about now.
I'm on Pepsi right now, man. Here we go. Hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. Thank you very much for joining us. My name is Dave Scott. We always appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Mugwump. Mugwump is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the clam sets a password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. All right, Chris Ramsey, I apologize. Chris Reinhardt is here from Discovering Sasquatch, hanging out with us, talking about some weird encounters that he has had. Chris, thank you so much for joining us. Where can people find your videos?
You can go to YouTube and discover Sasquatch, and you can find some of them on the Untold Radio Network over on Doug Hychek's channel, Untold Radio AM. I got a couple of my podcasts over there, but the videos are on Discover Sasquatch on YouTube.
Right on. Thank you for sharing that. When you are out in the field, how do you know you're in a hot spot for these creatures?
Again, when I first go to a new area, I look for the structures. That's the main thing. I got to see if they're there first, and structures at least let you know that they've been there. You don't know if they're there, but you know that they've been there. And then you start looking for the signs and, the prints and the snaps. And the snaps are huge. I think the snaps and the directional snaps I think they're really big. So you look for them. And then you just let them do their thing. You just, again, do your hiking and do your due diligence and and then do your hike, and then hopefully that they start showing up. We decided to start gifting at a place I called Larry's. We gifted for 6 years with them there, and what we thought to be Sasquatch. Larry's wife caught a couple glimpses of them, but we were looking for a place to gift with them, and we would just do the hike, and we did the hike and kept on doing the hike, and then we got our first wood knocks, and we went into the forest where the wood knocks came from, and there was this big old rock right in the middle of nowhere. And so we're like, well, I guess this is where they want us to start trading with them, and that's where we started, and that's where we stayed for 6 years. So again, let them come to you, because you'll never find them. Let them find you. You can be in their area, but if they're like I said, if they're gonna interact, they're gonna come find you.
Are they dangerous?
I have never felt threatened. I mean, when they're close, like in Florida, and it kind of gives you the little heebie-jeebies. That was real close, and to hear something growling at you like that, and you're in the middle of the swamp, and you got nowhere to go, you get a little little on edge, but I have never, like I said, I've only got hit by a rock once, and that was this year in Florida. All the other stone throws came close, but nothing ever hit me. So I've never felt like threatened. No.
Have you ever been stalked?
We've been escorted out. We've been followed out. We've been made sure that we weren't coming back. Larry's house one time, we ran into something that we never ran into before, and it actually jumped out of a tree and shook the ground. And we've never experienced anything up there like that. And me and Larry looked at it. Larry went into his backpack and took out his machete. He's like, what the heck was that? How could that thing shake the ground like that? It was like a little mini earthquake. I'm like, I have no idea what that is. So we decided to leave, but whatever that was followed us that day and made sure we weren't coming back in the woods. So
explain what happened there. I know you just gave a quick breakdown. Tell us that story. Where were you?
We were at the gifting area, and we were up there bringing apples. We only brought, we called it the trading post gifting area. We brought like maybe 10 apples and a jar of peanut butter. We found over the years that's all they like. They really like meat, but when we didn't go back up there, say something happened, it rained or something, they would go down to Larry's house and slap it. And Larry's wife wasn't having that. She's like, they're slapping the house. What are you guys doing? And it was because of the meat. They were looking for that meat. So we stopped giving them the meat, and that the slapping of the house stopped. So that's, you can learn this stuff while you're trading with them. So that day where we brought the apples, we pierced them through the tree, do our regular routine, and we're just sitting there talking. And all of a sudden, just out of the blue, boom, and the ground just goes boom. And Larry gets right up. I wish he was here right now. And he got up and grabbed that machete. He's like, what was that? We never heard anything like that before. I'm like, I have no idea, but whatever that was big, and it jumped from the tree. He's like, we got to go. And and then we just went our same hike. We didn't veer off. We just go, Larry. We'll go the same route out. We'll just take our time. But whatever that was followed us. I don't know if it was something different. It was someone different that wasn't used to us being there. Maybe, there was a different Sasquatch or a different being. I don't know, but that's what happened that day. It was it shook the ground. And the substrate in Connecticut is very dense. It's very pine roots. It's it's not, you can't find prints there very easily. And for it to shake the ground like that was pretty intense.
No kidding. When you were escorted out of that area, how did they do it? How did they make you feel? Were they like sending you telepathic messages? Were they just kind of expressing their dominance through foot stomping and tree shaking?
He let us know whatever it was, what I call it, he let us know that he was still behind us by snapping tree limbs. Not like 30-foot trees, but he was breaking trees to let us know that he was still back there. He made it known that he was behind us. So by snapping tree limbs.
We had an incident earlier this year at one of our spots where we were asked to leave. And this guy, he was kind of semicircling us. We knew there were more in the area, but I think there's always the dominant male that kind of gives you the signal, hey, it's time to go. And we were literally followed out. Like when we hopped in our vehicles and started driving away, there were two loud screeching whistles right behind us. Like he was right there. And they wanted to make sure that we got the hell out. They wanted to make sure that we were gone. And just talking about it, I could feel the goosebumps raising on my body right now. And the funny part about it is the first time that happened to me was in that exact same spot in 2018. And it's not a very comfortable feeling when they're telling you to leave.
Right. Do you think that you're interrupting? Because that's what I felt like. I think we were interrupting something that day. We weren't supposed to be there. We're either interrupting a hunt or that's what we believe we did in Florida this past summer, that night that we got growled at, because we had a deer run at us, like run right at us, like full steam, 4 feet off the ground, like squats down on the ground at us. I think we interrupted a hunt. Do you think you guys did something like that while you were dead? No?
No, I'm going to throw this out there to you and just get your opinion. Where this place is a place of catastrophe. In 1965, there was a plane crash there that killed 52 people.
Oh, geez.
And I strongly believe that the Sasquatch there are guardians of the spirits that still roam the place.
Could very well be.
Yeah, that's what I believe. And it's intimidating there because you have the ghosts that are still there. We've had UFO and alien encounters there. We've had the Sasquatch encounters there. It's just an uneasy feeling of being there. It never, ever feels 100% comfortable.
Have you guys gotten attachments when you've been up there? Did anybody bring anything home with them?
No, but how can I put it? I'll never go back there at night again. Ever. I'm after that, never going back there at night. I won't stay the night out there again. I will not. I'll go there during the daytime, but I will not go there at night. My other place where they're more curious, I'll go there anytime at night.
Yeah,
but not this place. Not this place at all.
Yeah, I still have, the night bothers me because that was my first interaction was that night, and just creeps me out still to this day, 9 years later, to tell you the truth.
Do you find it emotional when you have an encounter like that? Like it could have went so much worse?
That was like the only one that was bad was that tree jump one. I mean, getting growled at and huffed at in Florida, sure, that was close by and everything. But usually when I get interactions, it cheers me up. It makes me happy to know that they're there. Because you work so hard at it to get that interaction. And then once it happens, kind of makes me happy. Am I fearful when I was up in Canada? Of course I'm fearful. You get sun goes down in Canada where we were, you're not getting out. You're just not. You have 500 square miles to yourself. You're just not getting out of there if something goes down. Just stuff like you start. I think the environment scares me more than they do. I think the situation at hand scares me more than they would. But again, I'm not seeing them. I'm not having this face to face with one, and I'm sure if that happened, that would, that's a whole different story in itself. I've never been that close to see like teeth or like some certain people have had face to faces. Can you imagine that? And this got to be a life changer.
What is your ultimate goal with these creatures?
I want the face to face. I just told you I didn't want it, but that's my ultimate. I just want that 5 foot, 10 foot interaction, even if it's 5 seconds. If they come to the trail, look at me, and then walk away, that's what I'm after. That's the ultimate.
That is exactly what I want. That is exactly what I want. I want that close encounter. I want to be able to say, hi. You know, I'm Dave, and thank you for this. You know what I'm saying?
Right, right.
And for some reason I have it in my brain that they are going to be kind enough to accept that.
Right. Well, I hope so. I hope it's everything you want. I know a lot of people that don't want that. But they're still out there looking for them. It's weird. Isn't that strange how people react different to them? And some people are scared and some people don't want that close up reaction, but everybody's out there looking for them. They're still in the forest, still looking and still trying to get answers. And I find that a little bit odd. That's something that would scare you to death that you must continue looking for. So, I mean, that's just in my case. The night still gets to me. And
Do you prefer looking for the creature in daytime or nighttime?
daytime. I could go anywhere in daytime. Nothing bothers me in the daytime. It's the night. It's just that feeling walking down a trail and then having something come out and just grab you by the back of the neck and take you. I got that in the back of my head for some reason.
Have you ever had an encounter with Sasquatch and Dogman in the same area?
I don't know. I couldn't tell you if I've had a dogman. I've had an experience that actually the first episode of Real American Monsters is about. It's called Lured. We were lured into the woods by a dog noise, a dog hurt whimpering noise. And we never saw it. And it just lured us farther and farther into the forest. And it sounded like a dog got run over by a car. It was whimpering. And we would walk in 50 feet and then it would be 50 feet up to our left. And then we would go up there and then there was nothing there. And then it kept on drawing us farther and farther in. And my buddy goes, whatever this is luring us into the forest right now. And it's getting dark. We don't have any lights. We got to get out of here. We can come back and look for that dog or whatever tomorrow. So we hightailed and we turned around. We got back out to the logging road. And then all of a sudden he goes, and then a rock comes flying out of the air and lands on the trail in back of us. And we both look at each other like, holy cow, this is what they say the Sasquatch. This was when we first started at the Rock Throw Alley area. And that's all coming out. But to this day, it's changed his life. He talks about it. He says he can't get that yell out of his brain since that day. But I don't know if that was a dog man. So I don't know if I've ever experienced a dog man to answer your question. But that's as close as I think we've come to a dog man. I mean, something was imitating a hurt dog.
I had a friend of mine, Mark, who was our armed guard up when we got chased out earlier this year. He was up, or I should say down hunting near the Idaho, British Columbia border. And there wasn't anybody for about 35 miles around. And he actually was putting up elk calls into this rough cut of forest. And about 50 yards away, a near human-like voice was trying to mimic his calls for the elk. It happened twice. They checked that entire area looking for people. They're in the middle of nowhere. And you've been to the wilderness of Canada. You know how dense it is and how sparse the population is. You go into areas where you're lucky to see a vehicle. It's not rush hour traffic like on Route 66. It's not like that at all. You're lucky to see one, maybe two vehicles in a day. And there was nobody out there. And he couldn't figure out what it was. Really weirded him out.
Yeah. They do that imitating. They're good at it. Whatever it is good at it. I have a question for you though, before I forget about it. When we went to Canada, we were driving up and I was looking outside the window and I saw, no lie, a raven frozen in the air. Frozen. Like he wasn't flying. He wasn't moving. He wasn't doing anything. He was just frozen. And then when we drove past him, he right when the car went past him, he came alive and flew away. 10 minutes later, the car in front of us goes, "Did you guys see that frozen coyote on the side of the road?" It was just sitting there looking at us, and it didn't even move. It was frozen, and it just didn't move. It looked like a stuffed animal, they said. And then I told them about the raven that I had just seen. Has anybody ever experienced that you know of, frozen animals like just
There
like,
was near Vancouver a couple years ago, and you can YouTube it. This was actually on the news where these people had two crows. Just they were flying, but they weren't moving. Like it was like they were frozen in a time warp.
mm-hmm.
And they were not moving. And this actually was played on what we call global news, which is or global BC, which is the news hour at 6:00 every night. And it was played on there.
Yeah, it wasn't gliding.
No, I've never seen that here. I mean, I've seen birds and like big birds, hawks, eagles struggling in high winds.
Right. No, I know that. I know this thing was just frozen.
Yeah, but I have not seen that. Now, what time of year were you there?
We were just there in August.
Then it wouldn't have been cold enough for freezing.
No, he was up 30 feet in the air.
Yeah.
And then he flew off. He was just frozen, like his wings were out like this, and he was just sitting there like that. You know, if they were gliding, he would be bouncing in the wind. He was just like that. And then when the car got even with him, he just all of a sudden came to life and went and took off. It was a crazy thing.
I don't know what is happening. I was just telling our audience last night, me and my partner and my son, we were driving on a hunting road, a road that we had traveled probably 30 to 50 times over the years. I know the area well. We come down to this hill, and it's a beautiful view. All the trees have the fall colors and just gorgeous view. My partner says, "I want to take a picture." So I stop the vehicle. I do not put it in park. I keep it in drive. My foot is on the brake. And all of a sudden, I start getting like a vertigo, like we are rolling backwards uphill. And at that exact same time, my partner starts getting really sick, feeling like she wants to puke. And I don't understand what was causing that. I'm going through my Rolodex at this time of energy, you know, because everything has a different pattern. Okay, is it Bigfoot mind speak or something along those lines? No, it doesn't feel like that. Is it UFO? Well, this is kind of the symptoms. I'm not sure, but I'm not seeing any UFOs. Is this something else? So I'm going through the Rolodex of, because everything has an energy pattern. I cannot figure it out. The only thing that I could think of is if it wasn't a UFO in the area, maybe even on the ground, that maybe, just maybe, we were in some sort of dimensional portal that we were driving through. I don't know. But when we came back later on, I didn't feel anything going back up the hill. She felt like she could still feel like she was. We got Chris Reinhardt till the top of the hour talking Bigfoot on Spaced Out Radio.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
All right, we are clear, my man.
Right. I just want to apologize to the chat. I would be involved, but I can't really read too well. I've had 4 eye detachments, so I can't really keep up with the comments. So I apologize, or else I would be interacting with them there also.
Not a problem, buddy. Not a problem. I always love having you on, my man.
Yeah, no, I always loved being on. I just wish I was West Coast.
I hear you. I hear you.
I didn't even know the wife had to go to the airport in the morning. I was like, oh boy, I told Dave that I'd be on the program that night. Oh, he's like, oh, you're not getting any sleep tonight.
Well, thank you for keeping
Oh, I
on
wouldn't
through.
blow you off. I'm a man of my word. If I tell you I'm coming, unless something happens, you know that I can't.
Oh, I know. I know, and that's what I love about you. You're one of my favorites, dude.
Cool. Well, I appreciate that. That means a bunch. So you got some people. Oh, there's a guy that knew Halote. I did a little scrolling by the last break, and he knew who the medicine girl I was talking about from the Snells. I wonder who that is. Jay Truth Seeker. Do you know who's Jay Truth Seeker? He's the one that knew who Halote was.
Yeah.
Can they hear me?
Yes, they can.
Oh. Jay Truth Seeker, you knew who Halote was. How do you know Halote? You're familiar with the Snells. I don't know if he's still on or not. But yeah, that's going to be some good stuff when that comes out. I got pictures of Halote. Yes, that was me. How are you familiar with Halote? Oh, Kiwani. Yep. Okay. Does Kiwani still have the rights to the corn crop Bigfoot, the one that's up in the cornfield tearing up the corn? I'd love to get a hold of that and put it in the show. But Sandy didn't know, and as you know, the poor Sandy's passed away, so that's a big thing too with a lot of Bigfoot people that get close to Bigfoot on their properties and everything. They always end up getting sick, you know. Not all of them, but a lot of them. I think that radiation.
It could be, man. I don't know.
All right. Well, thank you, Truth Seeker, for answering me. Yeah, we got some really good stuff coming out, and probably I would say January-ish. Never before seen stuff from down there, and it's going to be good.
We got about just under 2 minutes. Oh man, what a great time tonight.
Yeah. No, I always have a good time. I look forward to this. I'm going to have you come back on my show too once I start getting back in.
I'd love to, bud. I'd love to.
Yeah, I'll have you back on. We'll get it going again. I'm hoping that the Real American Monster thing takes off, because I really need, I have places to go and people to show, but I can only get to so many places on my own each year. So
I hear you there. I hear you there, man.
buddy Stevie Wolf's on in here too, huh?
Yeah, little Stevie Wolf is in here.
Yeah. I like Steve. Good guy. And Glenn's here, and you got quite the crowd. I'm afraid 26,000 subs I see, man. You're growing quick.
Getting there.
That's pretty good. Well, you're dedicated. I don't know. I couldn't do it every night like you do. I just couldn't do it.
Sometimes I wonder why, but that's okay.
Well, you're addicted.
Right? Big thank you tonight to Simon ×2, Deb ×2, Richard, Cosmic Joe, Mama Catherine, and Hippie Deidre for the super chats. Greatly appreciate the love. Don't forget, you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. Go shopping there today, because, Christmas is right around the corner. Here we go. in the next few seconds here. And let's have some fun with Chris in the next half hour. Here we go with the next half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We always appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Reminder to all of you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, you can check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Here's Chris Reinhardt, Discover Sasquatch. Check out his YouTube channel. And Chris, right before the break, we were talking to some amazing encounters and what to do, what not to do, being stalked, being pushed out of areas. Do you think, or have you had other phenomena encounters along with the Sasquatch encounters at the same time?
Well, we're getting the EVPs, so is that the Sasquatch that are talking? I don't know, but I would I would think that is a spirit or paranormal happenings more than a Sasquatch, but I'm not too sure. But we're getting a lot of those. They know our names. They're actually we're getting intelligent responses. Like one down in Florida, I fell in the creek, and my name's Chris, and the guy that was with me was Chris. But when we got back to his house and reviewed things, the voice that we picked up said, "Hey, look, it's Chris," in a southern draw. That's just amazing to me that how they would know your name. And then he goes and asks for a knock, and he gets a knock out of the tree at this spot. It's just it's intelligent. Whatever we're dealing with in the forest is intelligent. It knows who you are. It knows we're there. And again, this is just my opinion, and I'm not claiming to be the Bigfoot guru either. I just want to get that across. I am not the Bigfoot guru, so I can only share what I can share, what's happened with me. But where did I got off track with the Bigfoot guru? What was I talking about?
I think that sounds great, though. I mean, I think you really hit the nail on the head with what you said, because we don't know how these creatures react. And every time you go into a different area, you're having to do something new, because every creature is different. Every clan of these creatures are different.
Right. But they all share the same traits. They all do the same things. They snap the trees. They throw the rocks. They hoot. They holler. They mimic. They try and scare you. I think that's a big thing on their end at night. They'll try and scare you and see how close they can get to you. I think that's another game they play. They try and get as close as possible without you knowing that they're there. I think they do that, and I think that's how most people have those close up encounters. They walk up on them and they don't know they're there, and then all of a sudden it's too late, and then all of a sudden everybody's face to face now. And I think that's a thing they do too, a game they play. So
have you ever had an encounter, or maybe you can share an encounter with us, where it hasn't been serious? It's kind of been funny. Have you had something strange and funny happen?
I don't know. I wouldn't. I mean, the game, some of the games they play, I know they don't. I mean, I guess I can. What's funny? They don't like hot dogs. I find that funny. I think they eat meat. But we would put a package of hot dogs at the gifting area, and they would never touch them. Never touch a hot dog. You know what I mean? And people always make fun of hot dogs. That's kind of funny to me. No, we never really had tricks pulled on us. It was more of letting us know that they were there. Yeah, no, I don't think nothing. No tricks or fun and trying to be funny that I can remember.
How often are you having encounters? Is it to the point where it's every time you're out there?
Almost. I mean, we went to Snellgrove this year, and all we had was really no Sasquatch. Well, I can't say that it wasn't Sasquatch, but all we had was really paranormal this time out there. But mostly I'm having either paranormal or Sasquatch or something going on. Yes, every time that I go. And now it's here at my house. If I don't go in the woods, it comes here. So,
I remember you telling us one time on one of your previous episodes a couple of years ago that you actually had a deer leg or a coyote leg show up on your doorstep.
Yeah, I had a coyote leg left at my back door. I got sick and I couldn't make it up to the gifting area for a month. And my wife looked out the back window and she's like, "What's that down by the back door?" And this was like I was getting ready to go back to work and get back at it again. And I looked over the window and I'm like, I have no idea what that is. And I go downstairs, I open it up, and it's a coyote leg ripped fresh off the dog. Still bloodied up, still warm, just the grossest thing that you could ever get left at your back door. Was that a gift? I've heard that was a gift for me because I couldn't make it up to them. They came to me, and how they know where you live, I still haven't figured that one out yet. How they figured that out, that's another mystery I would love to know, how they can keep track of you. Because I'm 10 miles away from my gifting area. My gifting area is in the middle of the woods. It takes us 2 hours to hike there. How they found me here, I don't know. But they know where I live. They come here often. I leave like rocks out for side, and they'll take them and stuff like that. And we had a blacked out helicopter here, hovering over the apartment one night after we had Sasquatch activity for a week. Stuff like that's happened. A lot's happened here, actually, more than you would believe.
What's the most interesting gift outside of that coyote leg that they have left you?
They were mostly, it was more organic. It was rocks and stones and feathers. And I thought the stuff that they would leave for Larry was the best. They would leave Larry raven feathers, but they would leave them at places that he visited. He had a wood burning furnace. And so he would be at that furnace 4, 5, 6 times a day, stocking that thing up, because that's how he got his hot water and his heat. Well, he would come out and there would be a raven feather right at the bottom of the furnace. His car, every day he goes in his truck, he goes to work, he would come out and there would be a raven feather at his truck door. He'd go into his woodshed and then there would be a raven feather with white birch. He didn't burn white birch. He never cut white birch. There's no white birch, but they would leave it for him because, white birch is a great what? Great fire starter. How do they know this stuff? I think that's the coolest. Those feathers were so cool because they left them there because they knew he would find them there. And of course, we would go to the gifting area and we would have feathers there and the stones. And there was a monkey that they took one time and they brought it back a year later, the same week. The same exact week they took it, they brought it back after being gone. And it was pristine. There was nothing wrong with the monkey. It wasn't even dirty. It was gone for a year. That was cool. A lot of cool stuff with the gifting went on, and then they sold the property, and then I cried. That was 6 years. They were following us the last year, following us the whole time we were there. They were following us, and then the next that fall they sold the property, and we couldn't go back up. Oh man, that was a killer. We had so much information. Like I said, we knew when they were coming. We knew what they were doing. We knew what time of year they would gather. They weren't there to eat. They would gather. Fields of mushrooms would be gone in one day. just a whole field of mushrooms. You would come back the next day and they would be gone. Apples, they only ate red delicious apples. They would never eat Granny Smith. Never would touch the Granny Smith. They would rot in the trees, rot. And that way, that you knew that wasn't another animals in there, because the deer would come in and eat those Granny Smith in a heartbeat. They would rot in the branches and fall off the branches. Nothing would go in this area. There was never animal prints in there, ever. We got to the point at the end of the 6 years that we were burying the gifts underground in Tupperware containers and piling stones on top of it, just to keep on proving that it takes hands, whatever was there, to grab that stuff. And we would come and all the stones would be off the top of the Tupperware container, and the container would be propped open and everything would be gone. And there would be a rock left here or a feather left here. And we would take peanut butter jars and we would put them on stumps, and we would put a rock on top of the peanut butter jar, and we would come back and the peanut butter jar would be gone and the rock would be directly under where the peanut butter jar was, right there. So he'd have to lift up the stone, take the jar and put it back down. We did things to prove that it wasn't animals. They were intelligent. They knew what they were doing. And it was the coolest thing, man. It was those 6 years were the coolest times. We learned so much, and I think that's where they trust. That's where we got that trust for them, because we never did them wrong. We never forced the issue. We never did anything. We never knocked. We maybe knocked 4 times the whole time. And there was an area. That's another question I want to ask you. At your area, is there a place that you know that you're not supposed to go?
Yes. Oh, it's weird you bring that up.
Yeah, same with my area. There was a place
that up.
Yeah, there was an area that we were not meant to go, and we never went. I couldn't tell you why. We knew, but we knew we weren't supposed to go that way, and we never ever went that way for 6 years. So, I mean, that was so awesome.
We call it the cul-de-sac. Okay, because it's an area that has had the trees taken out of it, and they put a big burn / pile in there. And that area in the daytime, it's weird, but you could go in there. But the minute it gets dark, it literally feels that there is just nothing but evil and darkness over there. It is the weirdest thing. I don't even like going over there in the daytime, but I do, because that's one of the places I check for prints. But this area just bugs the daylights out of me.
Yeah, it's just we know we're not supposed to go there, so we never did. We came close one time, and we actually got lost, like missing time almost. We didn't know where we were, and we hiked that same trail for 6 years. And we didn't know where we were. And then when we looked up, there was a big X structure right in front of us. And it took us a while to get our bearings to where we were. And that was the closest we ever got to that place. And when we never went over there, ever, ever, ever. I mean, I wish Larry was here. He would tell you the same thing. It was a good time. It was good. We learned a lot. And I think that's where the trust was built with us, and that's where we got marked, and that's why we continue to have what we have with the relationships. I think you build that trust.
What do you think those no-go areas are?
I either think that's where they come and go, or that's where the family unit is. That's where that's their spot. I know the gifting area wasn't their spot. I know they didn't sleep there, though we did find nests around there. Those were pretty cool. But I knew it wasn't their spot. They only hit that on the run. I know they had another spot. They would come through because they knew it was there, and they would visit it, but I knew they didn't stay there. So whatever was down that way is where they either stayed or where they come and go, or whatever they do. I think that's what happens down there.
I would say in our area, it almost feels like there's something darker there, almost like a portal. I wish I had a thermal camera that I could post up in that area to check it. Now, I could be completely wrong, but that's just what it feels like, is that there is just something ominous. Our area it's kind of like a long logging road with a big turn in it, and then it forks, and then over here before the turn in the fork, that's where this weird, strange area, this pocket is. And it just does not feel comfortable, man. And in that fork is where it's funny, I could take new people there, and the first place they look is, I'll always say, well, where are your eyes drawn to? Well, my eyes are drawn to the fork. Yeah. We see orbs going through the trees all the time there. That's right near where we had the sighting of the 10-footer.
Huh.
But that other area, everybody, even the newbies that come in there, they're like, nope, there's something in that area I don't like. I am not going there.
Yep. No, I know exactly what you're talking about. We never went there. And I saw my first orb light this year. Well, I saw something that looked like a blue phoenix one time in the Ozarks. But this year up at Snow Grove was my first actually ball of light that I've ever seen. Big, bright white. Or was it red? It was red. Red and white. White was on the shore. So the red light was off on an island that was all out from the cabin. And then there was a white light on the shore. So this was my first time ever seeing an orb. That's what it was. I don't know what they were.
Yeah, we get them in our area quite a bit. It's weird because we've had everything there from UFO sightings to the orbs, to what looks to be fairies racing through the trees, to the Sasquatch. I mean, these areas all seem to be connected to different types of phenomena. It's not just one phenomenon. I think most people go into these areas probably thinking, well, hey, I want to see a ghost here or a Bigfoot there or something along those lines.
Right.
And it just doesn't happen that way.
Well, I think fairy tales are real. I think they just didn't know how to write about them back then. I think all that stuff really went on in the forest, and that's how they chose to write about it. Like the gingerbread man, and the three pigs, and the big bad wolf, and I think that was all real. Just different characters put in different places, like big bad wolf, wolf man, dog man, whatever. Could have been terrorizing a family of three brothers or something like that, and they gave him pigs, or if you think of it like that way. And the fairies, and I think they all use the same areas because there's an energy there. I think it's energy that they're attracted to, with the frequencies and the energies. And I think that's the key. I think if we're going to progress, I think that's what we really should start focusing on, is frequencies and energies. And everybody should have a Geiger counter with them, because if you're getting hit with that radiation all the time, if you're like the leader of the pack and you're getting hit with that, it's not good for you. It's not good for you. And I can vouch for it 100% that it's happening out in the forest like none other. So,
100% it's happening in the forest. And it doesn't have to be deep forest, does it?
no,
Mama Catherine was asking that. It doesn't have to be deep forest. I mean, if you just have an area, or I'll let you explain it. Go ahead.
all right. Well, that's what my wife tells. She goes, why do you go all the way to Canada when you have it happening right in your backyard? She goes, why do you spend all that money to go up to Snow Grove Lake when you have the same stuff going on right out our back door? Which is true. I live in a small town of 11,000 people in Northwest Connecticut. I live on the edge of the woods, and I have forest all in back of me, and I had that stuff going on right here, and people would not even think about it in a million years of what goes on here, but it does. Larry's is right up there, is the same thing. He lives in the same town. You would never guess in a million years when it went on at Larry's house, but it did. You don't have to go into the deep woods to find them. They're right in your neighborhood. They're right, you just got to do your, like I said, your due diligence and take your time and hope for the best. If that's what you want.
I know there's been reports of people seeing him in cities and everything. Do you buy that?
I wouldn't doubt it. Look at the sewer systems in New York City. I mean, anything can live down there. They got crocodiles down inside. Who knows what lives deep down in those, caverns. And I think anything can live. I think they travel. I think wherever that door they use pops open, that's where they go. I think that's why that's why we go, well, they're always seen running out in front of cars. Well, I think they pop in and then all of a sudden they don't have to control what's there when they're coming through. They can't see what's ahead of them. They only come when they come, and then all of a sudden there's a car there. You know what I mean? They're smart enough to know that not to run out in front of a car. But I think they get caught. And that's, I think you blink in just like, like Star Trek, they beam me up, Scotty, wherever you beam down into, that's where you're at. You know what I mean? If you think of it that way. So I wish I knew. I wish I had the answers for everybody. And I really do. But we'll hopefully maybe before our time's up on this earth, we'll get some answers.
What do you think is the purpose of what they do? Do you think that they are meant to be here, that they are supposed to be here? What's your thoughts?
I think they come here to hunt. I think they come here to feed. I don't think any other reason. And I think why they're here, they interact with us, but I think their planet, I mean, where they're from, they could be just beyond the veil for all I know. But I believe they come here to hunt and eat, or maybe, teach their kids how to hunt, the family units. And I think that's why they're here. I don't think they're here for any other reason.
And when you say come here, that's from a different dimension?
That's what I think, yeah. I think they all use it. I think aliens use the same doors, like the fairies use the same. I think all that stuff uses the same energy, the same doorways. And that's all. That's what I think. After all these years, I went from flesh and blood to thinking that they zap in and out. So,
have you ever had encounters with portals?
Nope. The craziest thing I've ever had was the mind speak. I've had that happen to me. I had one come to me and show me her face and tell me her name and leave signs for her out that she was here in the backyard. She left. I knew it was her because she left signs that only the people that visited the gifting area would have known. She left a stuffed monkey in a Tupperware container in the backyard after she came and talked to me that night. Maria's like, look what's in the backyard. And I'm like, looking in the back. I'm like, what? Holy cow. It's a Tupperware container and a stuffed monkey. And then I told Maria about what happened. She's like, no way. I'm like, yeah, I asked to show a sign if this was real. And then we put that monkey in the tree, Dave. And 3 days later, I had another one that came to me. And his name was Archibald. The first name was Natari. It was a female. The next one was Archibald. And he jumped up on my chest. And the next day I go downstairs. Maria's like, look out in the road. Look out in the tree.
Nice.
I look out and the monkey was gone.
Wow.
Chris, and then she
proceeds, my friend. But thank you, buddy. Appreciate you. Have a happy Halloween.
All right. Thank you for having me. And thanks everybody for sticking around while I ramble.
Swamp Dwellers next in hour number 3, everyone.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
Thanks, buddy.
All right. Thank you.
You take care, okay?
Yeah. Yep. I'm sorry I couldn't stick for the rest, but I got to go to bed.
That's okay. You have a good one, and hope you get up early with the wife.
Yeah, I'll get a hold of you soon too, and we'll talk about having you on.
I'm there.
All right.
All
Good
right,
night,
brother.
everybody. Thanks, everybody. See you later.
Be right back, everyone. All right, everybody. After Swamp Dweller, we're going to be taking your questions for tonight. So make sure you can start loading your questions in now. Anything cryptid, anything UFO, anything ghosts. Okay. And we'll get some answers for you. Make sure, please, you put your questions in capital letters. And there we go. Thank you tonight to Deb Times 2. Hippie Deidre, Simon in Australia, Mama Catherine, Richard and Cosmic Joe. I have no idea, Paul. That's not UFO or anything that I talk about. Here we go. Here we go with the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We always appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Glam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Mugwump. Mugwump is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Let's head to the swamp.
Hello and welcome to Spaced Out Radio's Swamp. I'm Swamp Dweller, and tonight I'm going to take you on a mystic journey of the unknown, sharing tales of monsters, legends, and nightmares. Welcome to the Spaced Out Radio Swamp. Hi, Swamp Dweller. My name is Sam, and I live in a rural town in Michigan with my family. This includes myself, my twin sister Molly, my younger sisters Naya and Sierra, and our parents. I'm 19 years old and I've always loved the outdoors. I hike and rock climb regularly. All right, now that you know a little bit about me, let me tell you about the strange events that occurred the other night. My little sister had their friend Jules over for a sleepover, and we were all giggling up in the room having a good time late into the night. Sometime around 11 p.m., Molly went into the younger girl's room to join the fun. I stayed in my bed because, well, I was honestly just really comfy where I was and pretty tired. Sometime around midnight, maybe a little bit later, I heard a series of deep, guttural screams coming from what I thought was the girl's room. At first I paid no mind to the noises until I got a text from Naya that made the hair on the back of my neck go straight up. "Did you hear them?" the text read. I knew exactly what my sister was referring to. "Yeah, I thought it was you guys," I responded. "No, they came from the woods." Another spine-tingling text lit up my phone. I ran into my little sister's room, and when I entered, Naya screamed and Molly nearly leapt out of her skin. So, to say the least, they were on edge. We sat as silently as we could for a few minutes until the next series of screams echoed through the woods right outside the room. "What are they?" Sierra asked sleepily. I think what terrified me the most was that we were all in an unspoken agreement that there was a them that was making the noises. It wasn't just the wind or a frog or some other normal creature. This was something supernatural, and we all knew it. "Could it be coyotes?" Naya asked. "No," Molly responded. "They sound much different than this. Guys, I'm scared, Sierra chimed in. Being the youngest of us, Sierra was not uncommon in making comments like this, but this time, we were all in agreement. We were all scared. Jules, who had been sleeping through this ordeal, woke up just enough to get the words, "I don't want to play this game anymore," and then fell back asleep. We were all confused by her comment, but eventually moved past it. Should we, have Dad go out there? Naya asked anxiously. Why don't you go out there? Molly snapped back. She hardly ever raises her voice, so we knew she was scared too. We ultimately decided that we would all go out there together, as a unit, as a team, strength in numbers or whatever. Looking back, I don't know why we thought we could protect ourselves from whatever evil awaited in the woods. But we gingerly trudged into the darkness, one by one, flashlight in hand. We decided to stay in our big group instead of splitting up because even though it took us longer to search the woods that way, we weren't about to end up like idiots in horror movies. After scouring the woods for what felt like hours but was no more than 10 minutes, we heard the screams again. This time, they were closer than ever, right next to us, but all around at the same time. There were at least a half a dozen of them. All of us frantically whipped our heads around, trying to see whatever was making those god-awful noises. When suddenly, Naya whimpered, "Guys." We all turned around to see where her flashlight was pointing. And there, standing nearly as tall as the tree it was next to, was this hideous, lanky creature. It was pale and tall, with some sort of vile essence to it. It looked like it had never seen an ounce of sunlight. Its fingers were long and spindly, but there were only 4 fingers in each hand. I moved my gaze to its face, as if you could even call it that. Where this thing's face should be, all there was a set of small black circles, which I can only presume were its eyes, and a sick, eerie smile that stretched across its face. Its teeth protrude from the gums like long, dirty thorns on a branch. Its ribs are showing through its skin on its torso like bars through a frosted glass window. We all stood there with our eyes fixed on this creature, who just watched us. Then it opened its mouth, and what happened next was hard for me to even remember or even write down. It spoke. "I don't want to play this game anymore," the creature mimicked Jules. "What the hell?" Molly whispered. We were all too stunned to move. Then, all of a sudden, we were surrounded by a whole troop of these things. Everywhere I looked, there was another one of these pale white creatures. "I don't want to play this game anymore," they chanted over and over again. I told everybody to run, and we all scattered off in different directions. Once I reached the edge of the forest, I stopped to catch my breath. I heard Jules yell at me from deeper into the woods. "Sam, run!" she screamed breathlessly, with one of them hot on her heels. I made a beeline for the door to our shed because it was the closest form of safety. The rest of the girls followed Molly and me into the shed, and Naya locked the door behind us. "Are they gone?" Sierra whispered, but before anyone had time to answer, there was a banging on the side of the tin walls of the shed. They had followed us out of the woods. We huddled in a circle close together as we were just absolutely terrified and hours away from the sun. Eventually, the sun would shine through the tiny window on the top of the shed, and the banging stopped. And we all assumed they were finally gone. We opened the shed door cautiously in case the creatures were still lurking, and thankfully they were nowhere to be seen. We ran towards the house as fast as we could and locked the door behind us. Then we all returned to Naya and Sierra's room, and we passed out on the floor until we woke up around noon. Our mom was unhappy at how late we slept in, and we told her we were just up late talking. We knew she wouldn't believe the truth.
Thank you, Swamp Dweller, for another great story just like that. If you want more, all you have to do is head on over to his YouTube channel, youtube.com/Swamp Dweller Reads, and get right into it. That's where it is. That's where it goes. Let's go to the Cryptid Report. watching the YouTube chat go on right now, and it's kind of funny because a bunch of people are asking, what's the password for? Tonight's password, mugwump. What's it for? Exactly. It's a riddle. What's the password for? Question mark. Exactly. Exclamation point. I'll let you figure that out. Something what we do here. One of the paranormal sites that I absolutely love is this Facebook page called Creepy Acres. They always have these really cool, freaky stories that are on here. I'm going to read a couple to you. I don't know where they get this from, but man alive, are they a great resource for what we do. Today in creepy history, this actually happened on October 12th, 1973, daytime in Alice, Texas. 52-year-old Philip Hyde, who is a famed conservationist and pioneer in landscape photography, was camping near Alice, Texas. He's taking photos when he encounters a creature unlike anything he had ever seen before. It is a colossal bear. Some sources would even claim it was a giant. Hyde notices that patches of the animal's fur are missing, and across those open, hideous areas are scars that mar the exposed flesh. The monstrous thing would be dubbed the Beast of Bears. In the years since, witnesses have reported seeing the monster 31 more times. Similar sightings would occur in the swamps and deep forests of other states, including Florida, Virginia, Texas, Arkansas, and many more. Descriptions of the beast have evolved over the years to include 6-inch claws, glowing red eyes, and some would even claim that the monster was semi-aquatic and even had gills. Now, I live in an area where there are black bears, grizzly bears, and I will tell you this. I don't ever want to run into one of these things. I don't know if it's real. To me, it sounds like a dog man, but I wasn't there. But when we are out, or mainly skeptical people are out in the forest and they have an encounter with something unknown, they usually will portray that with something that they do know. So it would make sense if this conservationist actually I'm stopping the show. Thank you, guys. I'm done with sarcastic comments. Thanks, Lee.